Hello everybody, my name is Jay. I'm one of the expert IELTS teachers here at E2 Language. What we're going to do in this live class is look at IELTS General Writing Task 1, and we're going to focus on the informal letter which you may get. There are 3 types and informal is one of them. More specifically, I'm going to show you what an informal letter prompt looks like. I'm going to show you what an IELTS 8 or 9 model letter looks like. I'm going to talk to you about structure, flow, vocabulary, and grammar, and we'll finish by looking at some top tips for writing high-scoring informal letters, okay? And everything that we're going to do today is going to be based on these weird-looking things, which are the criteria. They are the things that the IELTS examiners look at when they're marking your writing. So everything E2 Language does is based on these criteria. We direct you towards those higher scores based on what IDP, British Council, and Cambridge University do, okay? All right, so let's start by talking about the question prompt. Imagine it's test day, you open up your book, and this is what you see. It says you should spend about 20 minutes on this task. It also tells you some other instructions down here. It says write at least 150 words. You don't need to write any addresses. And it also tells you how to begin your letter. But this thing here is critical, right? A friend, we already know that it's an informal letter. A friend who lives in another country has invited you to come and stay with him or her on your next holiday. You are too busy to accept the invitation. Write a letter to your friend. In your letter, A, thank him or her for the invitation. B, explain why you cannot come. C, ask him or her about other times to visit. It seems pretty simple, but there's a lot of things that you need to do in order to maximize your score here. Even if you're a native English speaker and you can write a fantastic letter, there are some real little tricks that you need to understand. Okay. Let's look at a model letter, which would be an 8 or 9. I'm not going to read it to you because I'll read it to you in detail in a second when we look at it section by section. But certainly on your paper in front of you or on the computer, if you're taking the computer-based IELTS, this is what your letter should look like. I just want to draw your attention to the 3 distinct paragraphs that we talked about, A, B, and C, right? This stuff's fine. You can memorize this sort of stuff here, but this is the critical thing that you need to focus on here. And you can see that it's distinct, separate paragraphs. All right, let's talk about the structure. Each of those paragraphs is based on one of the dot points. And what I have not done is mixed my paragraphs together. So dot point 1 is based only on dot point 1. It doesn't introduce information from dot point 2, etc. I've kept them clear and separate. So how we start the letter, the first thing you do, well, here it says, Dear Rudyard, this is taken directly from the instructions where it tells you how to begin your letter. Dear da-da-da-da-da. Okay, that's easy. The first paragraph, I had to thank my friend Rudyard for the invitation. And actually, this is kind of difficult because I don't want to just write one sentence on this dot point because I need to keep my paragraphs at about the same number of words. So I really needed to be imaginative and think of different ways to thank my friend for the invitation. So what I wrote was, thank you so much for your invitation. It's a really generous offer to put me up at your place in Tokyo. Remember, he lives in another country. I'd really like to come and it's very kind of you, but unfortunately I won't be able to make it due to my hectic work schedule. Okay, so I thanked my friend for the invitation. I've also made some sort of connection to the second paragraph. I haven't mixed it because now in the second one, I need to explain why I cannot come, okay? I've said in the first paragraph that I've got a hectic work schedule, and now I'm going to elaborate and extrapolate on that and explain it in more detail. I've just started a new teaching job and I've been working around the clock. It's been intense! Exclamation mark. I don't mean to complain, I've been enjoying it immensely, and the school I'm working at is actually our old high school, which has been a lot of fun. Do you remember Mrs. Brown? She's actually my supervisor. So almost everything from this paragraph relates to the reason why I cannot attend. Third paragraph. I need to ask my friend about other times to visit. Could you let me know of another time I can visit? Because of the school holidays, I'll be free in the new year and I'll also be free in winter. So if you're available then, I'd certainly love to escape the cold to visit you. And then I sign off in a friendly way, in an informal way, not a formal way. I just say something like, I can't wait to hear from you, your friend Jay. All right, cool. So what we found with structure there is we want to keep the paragraphs about the same number of words. We don't want to mix our ideas between paragraphs. It's okay to sort of say something that will introduce the next paragraph. And you also have to be imaginative in each of these paragraphs so that you can increase the size of them. Flow is also very important. And what flow means is that each of the sentences that I write link to the next sentence and link to the following sentence and so on and so forth. And the way that we do this is instead of inserting many different ideas, I take that single idea of thanking my friend or explaining why I cannot come, and I elaborate on that single idea, okay? And I push myself to come up with different ideas related to that single theme. And if I can do that, I'm going to write much more interesting paragraphs rather than just inserting lots of random information. This is a really tough thing to be able to do. Okay, vocabulary is also critical. So I've highlighted some of the key vocabulary here, and you'll notice that very few of them are single words. Because when we're thinking about vocabulary, we're often thinking about natural sounding phrases, collocations, for informal letters, phrasal verbs, etc. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the collocations. Generous offer, for example. Put me up at your place, that's a phrasal verb. My hectic work schedule, there's a nice collocation, interesting adjective of hectic. Working around the clock is an interesting phrase, or an idiom almost. I don't mean to complain is a good phrase. Enjoying it immensely is a good collocation. A lot of fun, a good collocation. And then something interesting happens down here. I've said I'll be free in the new year and I'll also be free in winter. So if you're available then. Now it's okay to use the same word once or twice, but on the third time, I didn't want to write free again. So I changed it to the word available, even though that's a little bit more formal than free. I didn't want to repeat the same word a number of different times. So just be careful. If you are repeating words again and again, stop, think of a different synonym and use that just to show off your vocabulary range, okay? And lastly, certainly love to escape the cold is a very nice phrase, and escape the cold is an interesting phrase in itself. So I've used a range of different vocabulary, and of course all of the word forms are correct, which is good. Okay, let's talk about grammar. So what you need to do in order to boost your score is not just get the grammar accurate, but you also need to show a range of different grammar. And more specifically, you need to use a range of different sentence types, okay? So you might be a fantastic writer in English, but if you just write simple sentences or compound sentences, you're not going to get a high score for grammar, and it's going to bring down your overall average score as well. So you really need to think about inserting different sentence types, showing off the full range of grammar that you have and the different sentence types that you are able to write. For example, some of these sentences like I'd, like I've used a modal verb here. You can also see I've used a contraction instead of I would, I'd, due to. So here, this sentence, in fact, is a really important sentence because I've used a subordinate clause. Due to my hectic work schedule, I'd really like to come and it's very kind of you, but unfortunately I won't be able to make it due to my hectic work schedule. These kind of linking words that create those sentences where you have an independent clause, like a full sentence, but then another clause that sort of hangs off it, like due to my hectic work schedule. These are very important. There's a video that I did on these. I'll put it in the description below. You should watch that after this one because If you do not use these types of sentences in your essay and in your letter, the maximum score you get for grammar is 4. Okay? You absolutely need to consciously insert these sentence types into your letter. Let me show you a few more. Okay, here's another one here, which has been a lot of fun. There's what's called the subordinate clause, because we've got the independent clause, the full sentence, if you like, and then the part that hangs off it. Oops, what else have we got? We've got one here as well. I've started a sentence with because, and this also creates one of those sentence types. Because of the school holidays, I'll be free in the new year, and I'll also be free in winter. So if you're available then, I'd certainly love to escape the cold to visit you. This is a complex sentence on a number of different fronts. First of all, I've used the because conjunction. I've used an if conjunction. I've used some modal verbs. This is an excellent sentence that IELTS examiners love because I'm showing the full range of my ability. Here, for example, I've written a question form, which is also fine as well. So again, just to recap this grammar part, it doesn't matter if it's 100% accurate. That's only half of the trouble. The other half is that you need to show a full range of different sentence types. You must consciously write various sentence types into your letter, okay? I can't labor that one enough. Okay, so let's look at some top tips for informal letters then. First of all, you'll need to plan before you write. You don't need to spend a long time planning, but remember what you don't want to do is mix your dot points together. You want to keep those paragraphs separate. So just stop for 30 or 40 seconds right at the start and think, okay, I need to use my imagination. Do I have a friend that lives overseas? Maybe I can use that as an idea, and then write to your plan. You should use the person's first name, like Rudyard or Tom or John, whatever, not Mr. Smith. You should start with a friendly greeting, like, it's so great to hear from you again. Don't write, I am writing to, because that's formal. Number 4, as we discussed, you need to give each bullet point equal attention. That means that each paragraph should be roughly the same number of words, okay? Number 5, you should use contractions like I'd for I would and she's for she is, etc. That's fine in informal letters. Number 6, exclamation points are fine. You should try to write one into your letter. 7, this is critical, you need to use your imagination. Number 8, you can use phrasal verbs in informal letters, like as we saw, put up or get off, for example. Number 9, you should avoid formal connecting words like however, therefore, as a result. These are not appropriate for informal letters. What is appropriate for informal letters are words like so, but, etc. Those types of conjunctions. And you should also sign off in a friendly way. For example, I can't wait to see you, not I look forward to hearing from you. Okay? So keep those top tips in mind. If you enjoyed this video and you like what E2 Language is doing, please click the subscribe button, hit like, leave a comment and share this with your friends. The subscribe button's just down there. And if you click the little bell, every time that we release a video, you'll get an alert on your phone so you can watch it straight away. That'd be cool. And lastly, if you need some help with your IELTS, maybe you failed a couple of times, perhaps you're just concerned because you think your English might not be good enough, check out e2language.com. We're 100% online test preparation. On the platform, we've got overviews, methods, practice questions, mock tests, grammar lessons, etc. Off the platform, you can take one-on-one tutorials with expert IELTS teachers and in some cases, ex-IELTS examiners. You can join our daily live group classes on IELTS reading, IELTS writing task 2, etc. And you can also get feedback on your writing, including your letters. What you do is you write your letter on the platform on e2language.com, you submit it, one of our expert teachers will assess it, send it back to you, tell you exactly what you're doing right and tell you exactly what you're doing wrong. Then you can go ahead and take a tutorial and focus in on that if you need to. Cool. I think that's all. There's the website there, www.e2language.com. Thanks very much for watching. Hope it was helpful. Remember, you probably need to practice this stuff What I'm teaching you is just theory, so do put pen to paper or fingers to keyboards and do some of this practice. Thank you.